Hi, welcome to the budget review. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And just an apology to everyone who is waiting for us to stream at home. Sorry for the delay. I'm turning it over to Victor.
Thank you, Joe, appreciate it. This is the final budget workshop, a culmination of all three of the previous workshops to provide a summary and an overall review. Tax levy threshold, we went over the slide several times already. Nothing's changed on the slide, but the next chart shows what that slide in numbers actually means. So you start with the prior year tax levy. The tax-based growth factor is provided by the New York State Department of Real Property Tax. And then you take out prior year's pilots, you add in current year's pilots, some exclusions. And the biggest item that may be different for us than other districts is the available carryover from prior years. That totals about $868,000 to have a maximum allowable tax levy increase of 3.41%. You'll see in the next slide or two that our proposed tax levy increase is 3.25.
Mr. Manuel, just remember, the 3.25 that gets approved by voters in May, when does it get actually implemented?
So the 3.25 theoretically is not approved by the voters. What's approved by the voters is the total expenditures. The tax levy by the board is authorized in August.
Thank you.
Most years it's the same as what's proposed at this point. There have been years where it ends up being lower than what was proposed in May. Never has it been higher than what it was proposed at this point.
But 2 out of the last 3 years, it was 0 versus what was approved by voters versus the expenditures that were approved.
Last year was this year that we're in is 2.79,
Right.
and then the 2 years prior were
I believe it's
zero if possible.
zeros.
I sent you a whole
No, that's what I'm
spreadsheet,
saying.
yeah,
Just,
yeah. This past August, we didn't change anything
no,
from
2
like what was
years
proposed
prior-
last
2
year.
years prior went from a levy increase to.
Too flat. I do not anticipate that happening at all this year. So what is proposed will likely be what is voted on in August. These are the budget strategies and looking at the budget summary. So again, what we've discussed over the last several months, the line by lines, totaled up to the 3.48 or 139.8 million. Nothing has changed since what we did as far as line items from January, February, or March to come up with this number. Interest earnings have increased, so we increased that a bit. State aid, I increased by 100,000. I'm pretty confident with that estimate. And those were the two major items. Any questions? Sure.
I think total expenditures from 23, 24 to 24, 25 go up, it looks like, by about $4.7 million.
Correct.
It's the tax levy, I'm sorry, total revenue, the tax levy goes up by 3.6 million.
Right. So
That $1 million bridge comes from,
I increased the interest earnings about 300,000. I increased state aid. There were additional about a couple $100,000 overall in the pilots, and I think everything else was relatively flat. 100,000 in miscellaneous.
thank you.
You're welcome. And I increased using use of reserves, the ERS reserve and the TRS reserve. I increased both of those as well. This was our facilities plan history. We've gone over this for the last few. The only reserve that's left right now is Capital Reserve 5. As of June of last year, we had 4.9 million already funded in that reserve. And I'll show you later on where that comes into play. These are the projects planned for summer '24, and I always use a disclaimer, assuming we get approval by the state, which we have not yet received. and we're getting very close, so we're getting a little concerned as far as moving forward with many of these projects. Yeah.
When would be the latest we'd be able to proceed with the projects, assuming we get the state approval?
Yeah.
Is there a deadline?
The windows are already in, so that was already approved by the state last year.
The installation?
The windows are in for the original part of this building, okay? So the window replacement, second floor of Kaniak Middle School, we're waiting for approval on that, but even if it came in today, it's not happening this summer because of the lead time to get the windows. The good news is you can install windows classroom by classroom as during school. You don't have to wait for summer necessarily. But the music classroom renovation, the district-wide bathroom renovations, and the ventilation for this building, we're still waiting for approval. We don't have it. The good news is we're planning on using contractors through cooperative bids. So we're awaiting proposals on those. So even if it comes in at the end of March, beginning of April, the board will approve it in April and we'll be on case. You're welcome. These are planned for future. What's highlighted in yellow, you'll see across the district, we're looking at district-wide pump and plumbing upgrades due to the flood we had back in November at this building to check everything throughout the district. Also is bathroom renovation phase 2 at Kaniak, at Jackson, the auditorium reconstruction, as well as bathroom renovation phase 2 as well. At Seaman, it's primarily just the plumbing upgrades and some exterior doors, frames for Seaman. Looking at Williams, we're gonna do the plumbing upgrades if necessary there. It's still our building, we own it, so we wanna make sure that's all looked at as well. As far as the high school and middle school, bathroom phase 2, replace a couple of small generators for the network room and plumbing upgrades as well. And when you look at the total of the highlighted, it totals $5.7 million that we're proposing in Proposition 2. $1,275,000 comes out of the general fund budget, and the balance, $4.4 million, will come out of that capital reserve. I mentioned earlier that has $4.9 million in it. And this is the language for, this is what you'll actually see on the ballot when the community comes out to vote. Future capital plans, again, this calendar year, this summer, we're gonna be doing the formal building condition survey. So I'm sure once that is complete, there'll be a lot more things on the list for each of the buildings, just based on that survey. And now I'm gonna turn it over to some really good stuff that's happening in the buildings. I'm gonna start with Alex to give us an update on the elementary program and highlights.
Thank you, Victor. So for the elementary level, one of the things that we've been proud of is being able to maintain consistency in a lot of the programs that we have. We're able to watch these programs grow, measure them based on students in terms of their performance, in terms of their interest, their skill levels. So some of the things that we have here that we highlighted that we've been able to maintain year after year is the integration of STEAM within our curriculum. And so, for example, in 5th grade, we have students who are exploring robotics. We have sessions that go on for each of the 5th grade classrooms. We have coding experiences that are happening within our library. We have integration of curriculum that's happening throughout. And so we're seeing in classrooms students that are in ELA class exploring social studies, elements of science and mathematics interconnected with one another. So that STEAM integration is happening across the entire building. We see elements of, matter of fact, we had a recent project in 3rd grade where students were connecting with class in Africa, and we had the art teachers that were helping to support some of the design of the projects that our students were doing that they were then sharing with the students from that particular school. In addition, we also have science lab, right? And so we have the opportunity to have students come into an actual science lab at all 3 of the elementary schools that are staffed by full-time science specialists. On top of that, we also have library media specialists that are able to provide students with an experience that goes beyond just a book in the hand, we're talking research, we're talking integration of a variety of instructional technology, we're talking opportunities to code, opportunities to present, public speaking, which are part of the standards that our students are hitting upon each and every day. A robust literacy program that emphasizes explicit language instruction, independent learning, language exploration, explored through various elements of reading and writing. And again, literacy that's integrated throughout all the content areas, not just a traditional ELA period or the reading and writing that we're accustomed to. We have a Math in Focus program that's based on, at the heart, the element of Singapore math. Both in our ELA and math, we continue to have high levels of performance that exceed not only New York State, but also exceed many of the region in terms of Long Island, Westchester, all across. And so the high levels of achievement that are happening based on the elements of the instructional programs that we provide students. Our music program from band, orchestra, and chorus is offered to all students grades 4 and 5, and many of you have witnessed our concerts firsthand. We have a variety of different programs for students beyond just the classroom. We have student leaders, we have safety patrol, opportunities for students to connect with the community. Student leaders engage in projects not just in their buildings, but in a variety of places here within the Jericho community. Recently, we had students at Jackson who were actually participating in an activity with Starbucks for PS I Love You Day to give out little cup holders, right? And they had beautiful messages on them written that, you know, you matter, we love you, that were given out to members of the community that came into Starbucks on that particular day. We have a variety, thanks to the Board of Ed and thanks to our program associates and administrators, a variety of instructional tools for students, one-to-one in terms of Chromebooks and iPads for all students. We have software, we have a variety of software that engages students from coding such as Scratch to doing things with math and ELA, iExcel, things that are actually geared towards student-specific strengths and needs, targeted support. We offer a world language program that introduces all students from grades 1 and up to 4 key languages. We have introduction to Spanish, French, Italian, and Chinese. We also offer a Mandarin enrichment program to students in grades 1 and 4 as well, which goes on for about 6 or 7 sessions per class throughout each of the 3 elementary schools. We provide what's known as response to intervention. So when students are having any type of concern, whether it's academic, social, emotional, we have an instructional support team consisting of reading teachers, math teachers, special ed teachers, speech language pathologists, school psychologists, who all come together and brainstorm a variety of ways to provide supports for any student who's having any type of concern. We have special education programs that address the individual needs of all students, whether it's through a particular class program, something such as self-contained or co-teaching, to a variety of supports like physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language, counseling. There's a variety of resources and programs available to children. We also have an arts and education program and field experience where students are learning outside of the classroom. We have programs that come into the building. We have places where students go to learn firsthand. We've taken students to many different places, the Museum of Natural History. We've had Cold Spring Harbor DNA Lab that's come into the schools. We've had students right now we have students that are going to the planetarium. We have other students who are taking a trip, oh my gosh, we're going out to Riverhead for the aquarium. We have students that have attended theater. They've gone to LIU, they've gone to the Argyle Theater, they've gone in previous years to the city. So there's a variety of experience that goes on for students. Again, one of the consistent things I'll just leave you with is the word consistent. Many of the programs that we have in place have been established for many years, and they're established in such a way that they work, that we continue not only to maintain them, but also to grow them. And so I'll leave with the simple fact that everything that you see here is going to continue in place for the 24-25 school year. So thank you, Victor.
Thank you, Alex.
Always good to secure details of the programs that are happening in the schools. I'd like to now turn it over to Chad and Sarah to talk about some of the middle school highlights and accomplishments.
Thank you, Victor and the board, for the opportunity to share some program highlights from the middle school. I just want to start out by saying that the things I'm going to talk about tonight are possible because of the community that exists in Jericho, the incredibly supportive board of education, central administration, the partnership that we have with parents and students makes some of these things possible. I'm also lucky to work with an incredible group of teachers at Jericho who do whatever is necessary to support our students. So first, we were for the third consecutive year ranked #1 by U.S. News and World Reports in terms of open enrollment suburban middle schools in the state. So there are a few schools in New York City that were ranked higher than us. They take kids through screening exams from 1.1 million kids. Of all the schools that take any kid who lives inside their district, Jericho is #1. Yeah, in terms of test scores, we had the second highest proficiency rates on the New York State grade 3 through 8 math assessment this year. Proficiency is defined as kids who score level 3 or 4 out of 4, and 92% of our students scored as proficient on that math exam in the last testing cycle. We had a number of students compete in a New York State Archives student research competition. There were 24 projects across the state that were recognized. 21 of them came from Jericho Middle School students, which is quite an impressive feat for them. And finally, we are on our 4th redesignation as a school to watch by the National Forum to Accelerate Middle Grades Reform. We're looking forward to a 5th redesignation at the end of this school year, so we're on a 3-year cycle with that. Okay, and a few program highlights here. The middle school continues to have a really wide range of elective offerings. This year we were proud to offer 2 new electives, journalism and a current issues and events class. Also new this year is an explorations and science research program. That's a 10th period, quarter-long elective for students. You know, our high school has such a robust science research program. We wanted to give our 8th grade students a taste of what science research was, designing experiments, before they might choose to pursue that path inside the high school. There are several math clubs at the middle school. Special congratulations to Dr. Morrow and her math counts team. They just took first place in the state for the 2nd consecutive year in Saratoga Springs. So congratulations to our math counts team. Diversity Day and our theater programs are ways that kids are able to highlight their creative pursuits. It also is my chance to remind you to purchase tickets for our play, which is happening tomorrow afternoon and on Friday evening. I also want to thank our PTSA for an amazing food exchange after our Diversity Day performances. So we work really hard at the middle school to reduce bullying. Many of you have heard about or seen our Olveus bully reduction program in action. In addition to that, we have lunchtime meetings with small groups of kids to reinforce some of the bully prevention work that we do. We call those quality circle meetings. We also have a group of students who volunteered for additional training on bullying prevention that we call our Brave Ambassadors, and they act as peer educators. They will sometimes go to elementary schools, sometimes go into other middle school classrooms, and teach some of those important bully prevention skills that they've learned about. National History Day projects are student-selected research projects. That theme that they write about changes annually. Today I spoke to one of the finalists who's competing at Hofstra next weekend in the regional competition for National History Day. He was really excited to share about Charles Drew. He was a doctor who was instrumental in discovering blood banking technology during World War II. The student shared such incredible personal details about Dr. Drew, his life and his death, and I asked him about that. I said, how is it that you know so many intricate personal details about this man? He said, well, that's because I interviewed his daughter last week. So that's the kind of authentic learning experiences that our kids are able to have with National History Day. It's also one of the reasons that our kids consistently tell us that that's one of the most memorable academic experiences that they have in the middle school. We still have our mentoring program with the Bar Association. It's a great way to enhance school connectedness. This year we have about 12 kids working with 8 attorneys from Nassau County. And in terms of our personal best initiative, we know that success looks different for different kids at the middle school. And we do our best to highlight that. Before February break, we had a great assembly, student-led assembly, where kids had a pep rally and then some great student-led competitions highlighting students doing their personal best. Finally, field trips, incredibly important, memorable experiences for kids. Our 8th graders go on an overnight trip to Washington, D.C. Our 7th graders do an extended day trip to Philadelphia. We have other trips to restaurants for world languages, ropes courses, Broadway shows. One of the pictures up there is a particularly poignant moment in our trip to Washington, D.C. It's a wreath-laying ceremony at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, and that wreath was laid in memory of Matthew Lynch, who gave his life in service to the country. He was a 1997 grad of Jericho High School. So, a few program highlights I'm proud to share, and I'm going to turn it over to our amazing assistant principal, Ms. Balut, who will share a few more.
Good evening, everyone.
It's on.
You're on.
Okay, I appreciate whoever the right height next to Mr. Gleason. I also just want to echo his thanks to everyone in this room and in the community who support us through all of our initiatives and also have the trust in us to work with the young people, the families, and the staff of this district. This year, our middle school continued with the team scheduling practice. We have the student team advisor that has really done an amazing job of bridging the communication between the parents, the students, the administration, and the teachers, and just helping to create those small communities. So we're glad to continue that. Our students are very sick of me hearing or saying this over the loudspeaker, but I'm not giving it up. We say our young Jayhawks have flown to their nests, groups 8 times so far this year, and we have 3 more left to go. I know it's corny, but they've really developed the connections in these small groups around themes such as cooperation and love and friendship and goal setting. And in that time, we've also had students start co-writing some of the briefs with us. So we're constantly surveying them and trying to see what would be more engaging to them and what kind of topics they want to hear. So that was, we continue that each session. One of Mr. Gleason's instructional goals was to really increase the intervisitations and the learning walks this year. This is a form of collaboration that allows our highly effective teachers to showcase their practices and for the people visiting to hopefully find something that they can take away back to their classroom. And then it ends with a debrief and a reflection. This also supports the district initiative with the McKay consultation group to grow our practice around learning targets, learning walks, and just really focusing in on the granular part of what's happening in the classroom. We've also been really honored to host Garden City Middle School, Oceanside, Elwood. Today we hosted our high school teachers for an intervisitation, and next week we're hosting Cold Spring Harbor. So we appreciate everyone who's participated in that, and especially to the CAs and everyone who's helping us with those schedules and such. Our Brunch and Learns have been a really inviting way to continue our adult learning with the teachers and with the community and the parents. And each month we talk about topics that are directly going to support the students, whether it be Power School or Parent Square or standards-based grading. Those are all ways that we get to communicate, have open discussions, and we hope that you will join us for the next one in April. We have an amazing group of literacy leaders. You see some of our young people up here. All year round, starting in the summertime, they are reading novels, they are discussing them, they're recommending them to the library, they're promoting World Read Aloud Day. They held another really successful community book talk with staff and parents around the book Bystander by James Preller. And this was a really relevant, engaging story that directly relates to our Alveus program and the Upstander and the anti-bullying. So we're also really grateful. Thank you to the PTSA. We'll be hosting James Preller at the end of this month, and led by our fearless librarian, Ms. Conklin. Most importantly, we continue to support every learner in our district, whether it be through the response to intervention, the co-teaching teams, the small class, our after-school program. We are making sure that we are addressing the needs of every single learner, and our flexible programming allows us to the students to move back and forth. If they're doing well in one area, they can go to a different level and get the support when they need it. We also continue with our really robust Regents programs, our advanced classes, and with Ms. Libertini, that after-school science program is just giving students the next step if they're ready to continue or to grow in their learning. And with the electives, as Mr. Gleason said before. We also have a really brave group of ENL students who are getting tiered support, whether in a really sheltered intensive class or pushing classes, so that they can become independent learners and to work on their language acquisition. So all learners hopefully feel that support, and I know our teachers and the curriculum associates are just outstanding at the collaboration for that. Last thing I'm going to say, if you take a look up here, we were so thrilled this year to open our doors to the new science rooms
and the new art rooms. And it's amazing to watch our future scientists and hopefully Regeneron competitors working with the wireless microscopes and the new lab equipment, and just the energy that the teachers have being in these fresh new rooms, and the new, our creators sculpting the next masterpiece and the beautiful art spaces. So again, thank you to everyone who made that possible, and we thank you so much for being here with us tonight and for all of your support.
Thank you, Chad and Sarah. Next up is Fine and Performing Arts. Ruth feels horrible she couldn't be here this evening to talk about the impressive accolades of these departments. But as you can see in visual arts, all of the achievements that took place and all of the activities that they take part of on a daily basis is just incredible. We started for the first time last year the Jericho Summer Music Program. Ruth brought it to the district. It was an absolute success, and we're doing it again this summer because of its success last year. Music in the Parks, Washington DC, and Disney World trips. I hear another Disney trips on the schedule for next year. Yes? Yes, okay. Service and clubs, all of the honor societies that our students participate in, the AP and instructional software, AP Art, Music Theory, Art of Education, and all of the partnerships that we deal with BOCES, NYSSBA, throughout not only the district, but the island and throughout the state. I think they recently went up, was it Rochester where they competed for NYSSBA recently?
We'll see.
Yeah, all state, okay. And that was a great success for our students. So now I'm going to turn it over to Dave, Brian, and Michaela to talk about the high school.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, Victor.
You're welcome.
Note to self, Chad is a little taller than I am. So I want to thank everyone. It's always a great opportunity, one we get excited about, to be able to speak to administration and to the Board of Education and to our families at home about the things that we're most proud of, and that is the accomplishments at the high school. There's many wonderful things that go on at the high school, and our opportunity to brag about it and showcase it tonight, something like I said that we're really excited about. And it starts with our first slide. Jericho High School is a blue ribbon school. We were really proud not only to be named the blue ribbon school a couple of years ago, but to have that happen as we were coming through and out of the pandemic and during such a crucial and difficult time was something that really highlighted for us some of the great work that we do. So something that we're really proud of. So as we move on into the next slide, what I want to showcase and talk about is a little bit broadly some of the things that are going on, and I'm going to have an opportunity to dig more into our coursework and what goes on in our classes. But it's important also to be able to note a couple of things. Number one, I know I had the great opportunity a month ago to present about some of the newest programs that we've had at the high school, and in that conversation you'll probably hear some of the same themes that we'll get into. But in addition to me talking about courses, Dr. Finley is going to be able to talk a little bit about some of our deeper programs and things that go on outside of the classroom to help advance learning and support our students. In the last couple of years, we've really done a lot to advance student voice and to put some of the really true brilliance of what our students do front and center. For example, they now are serving as panelists in presentations both to parents and to other students. And then after Dr. Finley talks through some of those great things that are going on, Mr. Cummings is going to be able to talk about some of the performance data that goes on not only academically but through some of our competitions and a variety of things. And then I'll be able to come back and sort of put a bow on the presentation. When we talk about courses at the high school, one of the things that I always like to talk about is I think there's an important philosophy to understand about the course offerings that you can provide the students in a high school. So there are high schools that want to provide as many courses as possible. There are then high schools that think more about the ability to dig deep into the learning that students do year after year. So in Jericho, one of the things that's really amazing is that we do both. We provide a very wide and a very deep curriculum and course offering list to our students. So what I mean by that is, if students want to try to be more of the dabbler and they want to experience a lot of really great types of courses, and they want to use their elective experience in each of their 4 years, they have the ability to do that. They can test out some engineering and technology-based classes. They may want to explore some of the arts in another year. They might want to see what's going on in our business department. Maybe they want to try to explore some of our higher-end coursework in our mathematics program. And students can do that, and we have tons of offerings to do that. We also have some students that want to become specialists. So we have students that can take things like a business course every single one of their 4 years in the high school. In fact, we have enough business courses that they could actually take more than one business course every single year that they're in high school. In addition to that, we provide enough technology classes that students could take at least one technology class every single year that they're in high school. And again, when they do that, they're not just gaining experiences and dabbling in the subject, they're actually becoming, quite frankly, experts, and they're going deeper and deeper each year. And as they are potentially thinking about majoring in those subjects when they get to college, they have a leg up on many of their peers that are coming from other places. Some of the other areas that our students are able to dig deep in for 4-year programs would include our broadcasting program, which is something that has grown in recent years. We just added a new class this year into the mix. Our music theory program, while we're only running right now one section of it, thanks to the work of the teacher, we actually offer a 4-year sequence in the single period. He's adept at differentiating the curriculum so that we truly have students at 4 levels of music theory learning in the same classroom. And when I recently spoke to him and said, how great would it be if we could get more students and actually have multiple sections and split the way that you're differentiating, he said, you know, I've done both ways, and I actually am starting to think that this is the optimal way to do it. So he loves what he does, he loves what he can do in the class with 4 years of learners, and it's proving to be a great program. Our research program in multiple subject areas, not only in science, but in the social sciences, as well in mathematics, provides our students with rich research opportunities in nearly every level of their high school career. And even in art, we offer so many different art classes, both in drawing and painting and also on the photography side, that our students have the ability to take new and unique coursework in art every single year that they're in high school. Some of the things that we do to advance learning is not just in the classroom, but it's how we even go outside of the classroom. I heard Chad talk about trip experiences that our students will often have at the middle school level, and certainly in high school, there's an amazing amount of trip opportunities, and we're always looking for new ones. So recently, Mr. Simonelli, our art teacher, came to me and said, hey, I got this really great idea. I would like to bring our students to Jones Beach at night to do sky photography, astrophotography. I said, this sounds like a great opportunity. He reaches out to the state park department and finds out that they have never issued a permit to a high school in all their years. They've only issued it to colleges or individuals. We are now officially the first school to have gone on a night trip. In fact, we just did it the other night. I had the great privilege of going with them. We had 38 students join us as we took photographs of the night sky on what was an absolutely perfect night. It was very windy and very cold, but it was a really great experience, and just yet another way that we provide our students with such unique and amazing learning opportunities here at Jericho High School. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual new courses that we ran this year. So you've heard us talk about it before. We're really proud of the real estate class that we brought into the school this past year. It received a lot of amazing accolades on local news programs. To see how many students are signing up for it next year just speaks to volumes to the success that we've had, and we know that it's going to be a mainstay in our program, so we're excited about that. We added a agriculture class this past year, which is a joint effort between our business program and our science program. It's the science and business of food. Again, tremendous opportunity this first year. We've taken the students up to competitions in upstate New York called Grow New York. So they're winning awards while at the same time they're putting their elbows deep in the dirt and learning through both the science and business of what it means to be farming. So we're really excited about how this program will develop over the years as well. We had a new aquatics class this year, and we had a new broadcasting class. So the newest level of our broadcasting class led to the Jericho News Network, which is the first year that we had that, an internal news program that our students are experiencing. You've seen some of the work that our students have done based on a new course that was added a couple of years ago, which was our sports broadcasting class. So to see that extending itself is something that we continue to be excited about. Next year, we're going to be adding one new class at the high school, another elective in our English program that'll be for seniors. It's called The Pursuit of Happiness. One of our veteran teachers went to a workshop and a conference earlier in the year. She came back rejuvenated and excited to bring this class to Jericho. It's based on a partnership with a college, so students will actually be able to be dual enrolled in both a high school and a college class. It'll tie in really well with the mindfulness practices that we've been talking about as a school and through our culture, but really then taking it to an academic level and having students explore it through not only research and analysis, but writing. So the amount of students that have signed up for it, I think the numbers are above 90 seniors that have already been looking to potentially sign up for this class next year. So the numbers are through the roof. We're really excited about it. So we continue to think of new ways to provide experiences and learning experiences for our students. We will continue to learn and grow together. But knowing that we have a school of 1,250 students approximately really gives us that optimum number to be able to create a rich course offerings to our students so that they can do both of the things I talked about. Not only potentially dabble in really high-end curriculum, but really become specialists if they choose to go that route as well. And now I'm going to introduce Dr. Finlay to talk a little bit more about our broader wellness program, our support services, and some of the other ways that we advance learning at the high school. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our student involvement beyond the classroom. So when I think about student voice and the leadership opportunities that we offer at the high school, I'm really proud to say that we see so much growth within our high school when it comes to these opportunities. So whether it's our student council or certain clubs needing to book space in our high school library or the cafeteria because their meetings are so large, sometimes even the auditorium, we're really proud to see that involvement is infectious and it's catching on, and the energy at these meetings and their events is palpable. Whether it's students also beyond extracurriculars coming to us to volunteer to serve as a panel at a school-wide assembly and help us recognize the value in younger peers hearing from their upperclassmen about their experience in Jericho High School when we're talking about sensitive topics, which I'll get into in a little bit. Or students raising money for breast cancer awareness to go beyond, the limits of this community. And the whole school was pink one day and everyone was pitching in to make sure to just bring awareness. Like I said, the involvement and the leadership is palpable and we're really proud of it. When it comes to supporting student needs, this is on an individual basis as well as a school-wide basis. So individually, whether it's an instructional support team or a child study meeting, we're always looking to get to know our kids. We never want a name to come by that we're not familiar with. And as we get to know our students, we partner with all of our curriculum associate colleagues, any of our staff members, including our mental health supports and our counselors, to make sure that we have a pulse as much as possible on all of our students and we know that they are in the most supportive environment possible. Just back up to extracurricular activities, I did want to mention, Lorianne, she probably think I'm crazy to mention this. Our buses we find are the busiest in the gaps between our sports seasons and our theater program. So we just came out of the 2-week gap. Our winter seasons had ended and our spring hadn't yet started, but yet our theater program was gearing up for their performance. Now Bittersweet Theater is over for this spring and spring sports have started. So it's really nice to see how many students are involved, and while dismissal or the buses might be a little crazy, it's a healthy reminder that our students are so happy to be here after school and we're happy to have them. Back to supporting student needs, I mentioned individual supports. We have our NEST program, which is now woven through all of the different academic areas. We continue to have our academy, and we partner with PPS, just like we partner with athletics and other department to offer students what they might need beyond the classroom. Assemblies is something I want to focus on because last year we started to bring Safe Prom to our seniors. It's something we're proud to offer again this year in May, I believe, right around the budget time. While our seniors don't love it, we know it's really important. And we talked to them about making safe decisions, not just in the final month of high school, but beyond, when they're beyond our lens and they're off in college. Safe driving is next week, right? We offer that assembly every year for our students that are in their junior year ahead of driving as a senior. An exciting privilege, but with power comes responsibility. And finally, the assembly I'm really proud of this year was Words Can Hurt. So we offered that back in February. And as part of our NEST program, while we don't run NEST on a monthly basis through PE, a couple times a year we'll tap into that 2-day cycle to make sure to meet with all of our students. So over 2 days we ran an assembly, and that's the panel that I mentioned where students volunteered to provide support and insight and talk a little bit about how they might have made some poor choices throughout their career, and while a choice doesn't have to define you, you can pivot and it's how you react and move forward and take power and ownership of your words and how you can stand up for someone else. So these are all supports and opportunities that we're so proud to see the growth and the energy, and I will now turn it over to Brian, who will talk about how these opportunities can lead to some accolades.
Thank you, Michaela. So some of this, what we end up seeing in the classroom from the different successes that we have with the rigor and the depth of our curriculum shows up in a lot of success for our students. It always amazes me when I look at the statistics from the previous year, the graduation rates, the National Merit Scholarships that we have year in and year out. 99% of our students graduated last year, 93 of which had an advanced research diploma, which I think is an incredible an accomplishment. We had 39 National Merit commended students, 11 National Merit finalists, and we had 1 winner last year, which is so exciting. 93% of our students took at least an advanced placement class, and you can see some of the statistics revolving around some of our upper level classes. Our science research program continues to have success. We had 2 Regeneron scholarships nationally of the 300 national semifinalists, and then we had 1 finalist in the top 40, which is such an accomplishment. Our success continues. We've already had 5 students that will be competing at ISEF next month, with possibly the opportunity for more. John mentioned this in a presentation a month or so ago. We're the only New York school in New York State that has become a New York School of Distinction with respect to our athletic program, something we're so proud of. That's some of the global stuff, but students also have an opportunity to show their successes. And listed below is some of the, broken down by department, some of the competitions that our students compete in. In the social studies department, we have National History Day, mock trial, and many other opportunities. In the English department, canon writing program, the Pegasus magazine, ways for students to not only show their interests, but also be rewarded for some of their accomplishments. We have multiple language exams in our world language department. We've talked about the science research competitions, ISF, Regeneron. The math program has many opportunities to show their success, revolving from math fair from the research, but also for the coding and the AMC award, AMC competition, the American Mathematics Competition. Earlier today, Ms. Emanuel talked about some of the different opportunities for our music and art programs. And so we just have so many opportunities for our students to basically talk about the stuff that they're so interested in and rewarded for it. The last thing I just want to mention, a couple of weeks from tomorrow on April 4th, we have our Hall of Fame event at the Jericho Public Library. We have four former graduates being inducted into this event. It starts at 7 o'clock. We'd love for you to be there. Dave.
Thanks, Brian. The last thing I want to do to sort of bring this full circle is, at the high school, and I think of the 5 years that I've been here, there were 2 main messages when I first got here that I kept hearing over and over again. You know, Jericho has been a great place of performance and for our students to be receiving great accolades for the performance levels that they have. But there was a great emphasis needed on wellness and really concerned about the overall well-being of our teenagers. So you've heard me talk in the past, and I don't want to go backwards on that, but we've obviously put great energy and effort into really thinking about the whole child and how we support our teens. And the other thing that I heard once really I started experiencing the day-to-day was that there was an overall sentiment from students and teachers that overall school spirit maybe was a bit down. And it also was a great focal point for us over the last few years. And we've kind of juxtaposed and put both things together. So as you may know, at the high school, we now have settled into 2 official wellness days throughout the year. One is more focused on mindfulness, and the one that happens in the spring is focused on school spirit and ties in with our Battle of the Class Day. So we just had that a couple of weeks ago. The feedback, and we've kind of evolved the format of what that looks like. It used to be just a single event at the end of the day. Now it's a full day event. We have 2 grades go up against each other to start the day, then we have the other 2 grades go up against each other in the middle of the day, and then the winner from each of those early rounds go up against each other for the final at the end of the day. We recently saw a video of our seniors during their sing-off, and the energy and seeing all the seniors in the bleachers singing the same song together was really inspiring. But just one last anecdotal is that on Battle of the Class Day in years past, when it was just at the end of the day, we would often see a line of parents lining up towards high school attendance for the number of students that were ready to get signed out early. And while it was still a traditionally great day, we saw there were a number of students that would call their parents and would opt to leave rather than experience Battle of the Class in the old format. When I tell you that this year we didn't have a single child get picked up by their parent on Battle of the Class Day, it's just one small anecdotal about how the students are coming together, how they're feeling connected to the school, the pride that we have in that, and I just wanted to sort of highlight that as a way to bring all of this full circle with everything that's going on in the high school. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, David, Michaela, Brian, and thank you to all the principals, all of our curriculum associates, all of our department leaders, for having such an integral, not for what you do, not only for what you do every day, but having such an integral part in the budget process. It takes my extremely boring part of the presentation, talking about the numbers, and brings the budget to life and how the budget positively affects all of our students. So thank you all. Upcoming meetings, the next big piece is next week. It'll be the adoption, hopefully, of the budget by the Board of Education on March 21st. And that's it. Any final questions? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion from someone on the board to go into an executive session for the purpose of discussing a particular personnel matter? Motion. Jen, second. All in favor? Thank you. We're adjourned until